everyone. It's Michelle and Dave, and this is day 14 of our 30-day video vlog challenge.
Pretty amazing that we've gotten this far.
I know. Thanks for hanging out with us and being here for day 14 and video 14.
You rock.
Wow.
For sticking in there with us.
Thank you. And wanted to talk today about grief.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Grief.
Yes. So
I'm going deep today.
I don't know, but this is actually going to be a two-part video because there's a lot to it. So we're going to do it in two parts and break it up a little bit.
And it's not like it's going to have good endings. Okay.
I promise.
Giving you some heads up on that.
So we wanted to share a little bit about one of the most amazing people that we've ever gotten to meet and to love in our life. Yes. It is our third son, Rhyder.
Yes.
Yes. And Rhyder was fortunate. We were fortunate to have Rhyder to be with us for 25 days. He was actually our third son who was born with a condition called Trisomy 18. He has an extra 18th chromosome, very similar to Down syndrome, where they have an extra 21st chromosome. And this was nearly a little about 5.5 years ago. He was born on August 25th in 2009. Yeah.
Yeah.
Think about that. When was that? 2009. And then he passed away 25 days later, primarily due to the swine flu, unfortunately, and complications with trisomy 18. It's according to what the death certificate says. But that was an amazing journey, the hardest one as parents as you could ever walk through together.
Yeah.
And feeling the loss and living with the loss of your child that you've had so many expectations and hopes and dreams for. And part of our story is we were pregnant with Rhyder, and we found out at about 18 to 20 weeks that he was diagnosed. He was diagnosed in utero with trisomy 18, and it was devastating. There's no doubt.
Yeah.
For 3 weeks, it was, for me especially, carrying him. We were just devastated and heartbroken. And the doctors, of course, they encouraged us to terminate him and abort him, but we're like, are you kidding me? It's our son.
Yeah.
That wasn't even an option for us. So we had to find a doctor who would care for us and care for our son and believe in his life, that he had great value. And
we found one.
And we did find one. And it was an amazing doctor, and very grateful for him. And it was quite the journey. We actually documented it on video, our journey in carrying him and having hope and believing that he would make it, which so many people around the world were literally praying for him.
Yeah, and in fact, there's a lot of people that are friends with us now on Facebook and other places that basically came to know us because of our story with Rhyder. So it's pretty, he brought us together with a lot of people, and so we're grateful for that.
He impacted people's lives that he didn't even meet, and we didn't even meet.
I know.
And we were blown away by that.
Short period of time, and he made a huge impact on us and so many others. And
actually saved people's lives.
Yeah,
we've gotten two people were like suicidal. Yeah. And they're like, no, if he can fight for life, I can fight for life, which is like, wow. So we're so grateful for that and the impact he's made in other people's lives.
Absolutely.
So it doesn't matter how old you are, you can make an impact.
That's right.
Yeah. So we, real briefly, so he was with us for 25 days and he passed away, which the best way to describe it is it totally sucked, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and for other parents that lose kids, I'm like, there's no words for it. There's just no words. It's your worst nightmare ever to lose your child, and it just sucks. And there's nothing more that describes that than that. For me, and it was. Go ahead.
So with having lost a son, and we've had miscarriages in addition to that,
right?
Before and after Rhyder. So how has this grief journey been for you? Like, what have you learned from it, or what did you learn in the midst of it? And looking back.
Well, I think for me, and it's taking me almost, it wasn't until a year ago that I was ready to start taking care of me. And that was 4.5 years after we had lost him. Yeah. And so I really went after, we went to grief support groups. We went to, I went to a grief counselor. I was very intentional about the grief and wanting to plow through it and go through it and feel it and live it. And I'm grateful for our other two boys who helped to bring healing.
Instead of stuffing it in and sort of not dealing with it, instead of not talking about him, we talked about him all the time. That was just kind of,
I had to.
That was how we honored him, and we honored our grief, and we honored his story, and our story is talking about it and really celebrating his life,
right?
Even though it was short. because it was just worth celebrating. And it was interesting, right before we were diagnosed, I mean, just, I don't know, weeks before we got this diagnosis of trisomy 18, sorry, we watched a video that Oprah had put on her show called 99 Balloons, and it was a story about a child with trisomy 18 that lived for 99 days. And if it wouldn't have been for that, we wouldn't have known what trisomy 18 was. We'd never even heard of it, I don't think.
Right.
And so I think because of that experience, it invited us into, okay, we don't know how long we have. We don't know if he will make it even out of the womb alive, because they gave like a 5% chance that he would even survive coming out of the womb. And then another 5% if he did would be that he lived to his first birthday. I mean, so that was just very, very low odds that he was going to make it. But we were like, okay, if you're here with us, you're alive right now in Mom, we are going to celebrate your life and hold on to it and trust for the best, and at the same time prepare ourselves for the possibilities, so we weren't like shocked. So we were taking in all sides of it, and really just allowing him to make a difference in us.
And one thing that got me through the pregnancy was kind of like God and I having a conversation, and God gave me the word believe, and in the middle of believe is the letter I, and I'm like, I believe, and holding on to that. And what also brought me sanity in that pregnancy was living in the moment. Knowing that none of us are guaranteed or promised tomorrow, not looking at the past, and trusting this moment right now, He's with us. And I got to live and enjoy that pregnancy because of learning how to live presently in that moment, and not in the future, and not in fear, and trusting our journey. A good friend of mine gave me a T-shirt that said, "Trust your journey." So I'm like, I'm going to trust our journey, and whatever the outcome it looks like, we will make it through this. Yeah. And so it was
and his name, Rhyder. Okay, so really cool how, if you don't mind, I shift a little bit to the Rhyder, is that it felt like he was bringing us on the ride of our life. This is a shirt that Michelle made that has artwork with all of the boys. And if you look really closely on the door is his footprints, of his actual footprints that we had, of course, shrunk down. They were much bigger than this, but we put them on there. So it was the boys' art with the footprints of our son Rhyder, and it was all about riding your life. I got this from my Father's Day. Yes. Father's Day, yeah. So he really was bringing us on a ride of our life, and we wanted to make it like all that we could make it. Like, okay, if we're going to be in this journey, let's be in it fully present. Let's be in it, learning from it. And I remember a friend of ours telling a story. His name's Darren Hufford, and I thank you, Darren, for your love and just all the beautiful things you've helped us with over the years. But he was telling a story of bringing his child on a ride at Disneyland, and his daughter was really scared of this ride. It was one of those scary rides. I forget, Pirates of the Caribbean, maybe. Right. And it was funny because he says she would keep looking to the side, like this, just looking at all the things popping up on the ride. And he held her face and says, "Just look into my eyes. Just look into my eyes. And as long as you keep your eyes on me, you won't be afraid, because you'll know that all this stuff is not going to hurt you." And that helped us so much. In fact, the day that we were sitting there going to the second ultrasound that was going to confirm what was going on, because we knew something was going on from the first ultrasound, we saw a Rhyder truck pull up right across where we were sitting, and we were like, it's just confirmation. And he did take us on that ride. It seems like it was a ride of awareness, of being present, of celebrating this moment. Right. And I know we've said that a lot, but I just want to emphasize the beauty of that.
And in the roller coaster ride of a grief journey, and it's a true roller coaster. It will take you to the depths of pain and sorrow and suffering, and but we rode it, and we continued to ride it. It's gotten softer. We still walk with the grief, but it's a lot softer.
It's not debilitating at all. I mean, it's almost like, okay, it's just the feelings. It's not like grief. So many times people put the word grief into a box, and it looks like certain things, and we've made it our journey. our grief journey instead of like it doesn't have to look like someone else's.
Right. And for us, for me especially, I saw a grief counselor. I used essential oils. We went to a grief support group called Bo's Place here in Houston for almost 2.5 years. I mean, I did for sure. Dave went for a year. Caden went for a year. Dash was too young. And it's interesting seeing the boys carry out their continued journey and discussion about Rhyder. And the older they get, there's different levels of grief and understanding and awareness. But it's been impactful and beautiful. And I think we've really gained such perspective on life in a whole way that we never would have experienced it. Don't wish it upon anybody. It's not a fun club to be in by any measure. But since we are in that club of parents who have lost children, we are celebrating life in a whole new way.
Yeah, it's actually
doing life.
Having a death in your journey brings a depth of life, and it just brings an added awareness of how sacred each day is and how sacred our life is, so that it's not,
well, I mean,
discredited.
Right, but baby, this is 5.5 years out.
Yeah.
When a year out, 2 years out, I mean, I was still really struggling a lot with his loss and panic attacks, and especially in the beginning few months, and not wanting to talk to anybody or see some of my friends, or it was hard to celebrate people's third children. My friends, dear friends who are having their third children. Going to baby showers was not a place I wanted to go. On Facebook, I was, now I used the grief to help other families for about 1.5 years after losing him, and I was able to celebrate and help other families get help for their kids. And
even using your breast milk was a huge thing. That was another way to heal your heart.
Right.
It's just allowing this milk that was designed for Rhyder to be given to other families.
And I did, and that's right. I mean, I forgot that. I mean, I donated my breast milk for 3 months. And it was part of my grief and way of giving and for other kids to thrive. And it was a gift for me to do that as well. So there's just, I think the grief journey for me, what I would want to communicate about this is that it's necessary to go through it and not avoid it. Because if it's avoided, it will come out sideways and wonkers and crazy in all aspects of your life if you don't deal with it. And for some people, it's longer. Some people, it's shorter. Regardless, it's still there, but the intensity can be less. I think if you go head on into it and be willing to look at it, whether it be losing a spouse, a parent, a sibling, a friend, boyfriend, girlfriend, especially a child. And if you're interested in knowing more resources or getting involved in other programs, we know about them. Feel free to comment and message us. We would love to share any of that with you, and to give hope to other families that there is hope and there is life after this loss.
Yeah.
And so I think that's really what I wanted to kind of communicate today.
Yeah. So on our next video, we'll continue this story, but in a different way. Not sure exactly how that'll look, but we will tell more as the time goes on. So thank you for listening. Thank you for just as you're able to connect with us watching this, you're able to be with us with our son, Rhyder. So he's connecting us to you right now. So which is really cool.
Yeah.
All right, love you,
honey.
Love you. Till next time.